In this video, I'm gonna be demonstrating and explaining a full two-step polish and paint correction from start to finish. Now let's get straight into it. What's going on, and welcome back to the Wilson Auto Detailing community. If you're a professional auto detailer or just a car enthusiast who wants to improve your detailing ability, then definitely consider subscribing. So I got a lot going on here today. You guys see my lights, my rotary, my DA, my polishes. I've got a ton of equipment out here as well outside. And basically what I'm doing is a full two-step paint correction on this car. So basically what I want to do here is show you guys the before condition of the paint as best I can, show you the swirl, the different scratches, things that I'm going to be working at taking out through this two-step paint correction. So you can probably get some of these swirls underneath this lighting in particular. You guys see some, definitely some deeper swirls, some less deep swirls, just like you would see on any other type of paint. You guys see there's, you know, some pretty intense ones right here. I'm gonna try to angle my other LED flashlight here so you guys can see those swirls. If you see, kind of looking at the top part of the light, you can see a lot of those swirls as I go back and forth. See how it's not just that smooth, glassy appearance. You see kind of those, what they call rids in the auto detailing world, random, isolated, deep scratches. And not that these are all necessarily deep scratches, but they're all that under that swirl mark kind of category there. Here's a good place to see those swirls as well. You guys can see as I move this flashlight across the paint, see how it kind of gives those almost like, it looks like legs are coming off of the light itself. Those are just where the light is hitting those swirl marks. So this is probably average condition paint. As far as like average being the car is not maintained on a regular basis. So this shouldn't be too terribly difficult to actually get out in this two-step paint correction, but let's go ahead and get into how I'm going to do this. So I've got my DeWalt rotary polisher right here with the wool pad. I've got my Rupes LHR 21 Mark II right here, and this is how this is going to go as far as sequence of events. Number one, I am going to be doing the heavy compounding, heavy lifting paint correction first with my DeWalt rotary polisher and the wool pad itself. I'm also going to be using a polish from Showcar. It's called Power Bright. This is their heavy cutting, kind of compounding polish, if you will. And then I'm going to be using my Rupes LHR 21 Mark II DA. I'm going to be using another polish by Showcar called Renew It, which is their finishing polish. These two polishes together have become some of my favorites in the detailing world. And then with my DA, the pads I'm going to be using are by 3D Car Care. It is their foam high definition polishing finishing pad. So while this video is not so much explaining how to use a rotary or how to use a DA, if you want to learn how to use a rotary for beginners or even more advanced tips, check out the YouTube card I'm linking up right now. This is more a video about a sequence of events and a little bit of explaining on how to do things. So let's go ahead and get into actually polishing. So I am going to be starting with the hood. Now, just so you guys are aware about what I did in order to prep this paint. Number one, I washed it. Number two, I clay barred it. Number three, I went ahead and did an Iron X, a chemical decontamination. And then number four, I went ahead and used a specific paint prep that's gonna strip away anything that might be left on the paint as far as dust, maybe even leftover sealant or anything like that. So all of this paint is ready to be polished. Now throughout this video, I'm gonna speed up some parts, I'm gonna slow down some parts just so you guys can see things in live action as well as not waste your time. I am gonna be starting with the hood as far as the rotary polisher is concerned. I'm gonna be working around to the doors, to the side fenders, to the roof, to the back trunk. All those areas work around until I'm on this side of the hood again. Now some of you might be wondering why I'm not taping some of this stuff off. Well, number one, I'm not taping it off just because in this particular case, I'm not worried about having to do some cleanup in the end. I'm going to go around after I'm done with this, do a lot of the cleanup from the crevices, any polish that might get in there, and make sure it's perfected. But number two, when you tape things off, you do have to continually move the tape as you go about different things. And that's just something I'm trying to avoid today as I'm doing these videos. Now, some of you might be wondering, why am I not taping off these body lines, these character lines, as I'm using a rotary polisher? Luke, isn't that dangerous? When you come up on an edge like this, or on a contour line with a rotary polisher, it increases the friction, you might burn an edge. Yes, you might burn an edge if you don't have any idea what you're doing, but if you've been doing this for any sort of time, or at least a good length of time, you know how to maneuver polishers on things like this where you're not actually going to damage something. So let's go ahead and get into rotary polishing. Okay, so I just finished the rotary polishing stage. I've not yet cleaned up. Basically what I'm saying is I'm done with the first step in this two-step paint correction process, so check this out. I'm gonna take you guys around the vehicle so you can see the leftover polish, and what you're seeing here with these fibers and sort of like stringy things is I use a 50-50 synthetic wool pad. So when you use a 100% wool pad, you're not gonna get as many or all of these little tiny fibers. When you use a synthetic wool pad, you do get a lot of that because it's not really wool as much as it is like a yarny material that does kind of fray and sling off as the rotary spins. So I just kind of want to bring you guys in and show you different things. You can see in these cracks and crevices, yes, there is a good amount of polish, but remember, I told you guys before I even started, I'm going to clean up very, very seriously in the end. Check it out. Polish in the cracks and crevices. If I would have taped that off, I would have been able to avoid that at a degree, but again, in order to avoid that completely, you'd have to take the tape, move it very close to this side, polish this end, take it off again, move it very close to this side, polish this end so that you make sure you're not missing any of the paint, and you have to do that with all the tape. So you'd take the tape off here, put it just on this chrome piece below the window and just touching the paint, and then polish, and then you'd have to be it's just very kind of difficult to get that done, and in my experience, cleaning up afterwards is just not very hard in the long run. So check out all of that leftover polish. I'm about to wipe all of that up, but you guys can see it's splattered all over the windshield, all over the back windshield, and of course it's still all over the paint. And so basically what I'm going to do is just take a microfiber towel, a new microfiber towel, and wipe all this up. Why am I using a new microfiber towel? Well, because I'm polishing this, I want to use a microfiber towel that has never touched anything so that as I'm wiping it off, I'm not actually re-putting in those micro scratches that I just did all this work to take out. So I use a new microfiber to take all this off. I'm not going to worry about the windows. I'm not going to worry about the black trim. I'm not going to worry about the crevices. I'm just taking the polish off the paint so that I can go ahead and go to my next step of my DA polisher, my finishing polish, and go ahead and get that done. So again, just wiping off the paint. So now I've cleaned the whole car off from that first step polish. So I've just wiped off all the compound. I'm just going to go around the car very quickly just so you guys can see what it looks like. They're going to take some light to it so you can see the difference between what a swirl mark is and then what are called holograms, which is what is caused by a rotary polisher, and it's very subtle. However, it is different nonetheless. You can see kind of that stuff that looks like swirl marks as I move along the hood with the light here, and the problem is, if you didn't know better, you would think they are swirl marks, but I don't know if you guys can tell. Honestly, I don't even know how to describe it. This is called hologramming. These are not swirl marks, what you're seeing. So those little legs that come out in every direction from the bulb of the light in the middle, that's holograms. That is not swirl marks. And I guess the only way you could really even understand the difference is if you just looked at both side by side. So maybe go back to the beginning of this video, look at what the swirl marks looked like, and then come to this point and look and see what this looks like. Because again, this is not swirling, this is hologramming. It's a phenomenon that is caused by a rotary polisher, and basically this gets taken care of very easily with a DA polisher. This will go away after the second step is done. So now the finishing foam pad that I'm going to be using for this next step is by 3D Car Care. It's their black finishing foam spider pad, and then I'm going to be using again my Rupe's Bigfoot here. So I'm going to attach the pad very simply to the backing plate, make sure it's even, and then I'm going to take my Renew It polish from Showcar, finishing polish, just dab a couple or a few little dots here. By and large, you need to use less polish than you probably think you do, and I'm just going to do the exact same thing that I did with the rotary. I'm going to go around the entire car. This should actually take a little bit longer than the last step, just because using a DA does take a little bit more time than using a rotary, and then we'll come in for the final results. Okay, so I'm finally finished and the sun has pretty much gone down outside. So what I'm gonna do is take you guys around the whole car to show you exactly what it looks like. I still have a few small touch-ups to do. Other than those few small touch-ups, it has been officially finished, wheels finished, tires finished, and it has been waxed. So let's go ahead and go around, look at it just as a first kind of point of view. Then we'll shine some lights, check out the swirls, the holograms, see what happened to them. This is what a two-stage paint correction process looks like. Ignore maybe smears on the windows. That would be coming from the interior because I haven't done the interior windows yet. But here we go, guys. It looks fantastic in person. It even kind of looks more black in a way than it does blue because that original dark appearance, that luster of the original color has come back now that it's been polished and paint corrected and finished. So, trying to give you guys a few different angles here. Looks fantastic. This took an all day, this was an all day job, and but two-stage paint corrections tend to be all day jobs, so that's just kind of the nature of the beast. So I'll give you one last look here, full body, and there you go. So let's check this out. Again, it's a little bit difficult in the camera to even kind of see different swirl marks and holograms, but you guys can hopefully see in the camera here as I move my light, and I'll take the camera off the tripod as well and kind of move it. But there are basically 0 swirls and definitely 0 holograms left, and the paint looks fantastic. So check this out as I move the light across. Is the paint 100% perfect? No. Are there still some minor defects like rock chips and some minor swirls? Yes, because it's really impossible to fix swirls 100% unless you're going to wet sand it and just literally even out the clear coat all the way around the car. But there still are some minor imperfections, just as there would be with really any two-stage paint correction on any car where all you do is use a compound and a polish, because again, that's not going to fix these swirl marks completely. The only way to do that would be wet sanding. However, here is what we're dealing with now, and again, it is waxed and protected. So just to recap, number 1, I used 2 different polishes from a company called Showcar, Power Bright and Renew It. I used my DeWalt rotary polisher with the wool pad. I used my Rupe's DA polisher with a finishing foam pad, a finishing foam spider pad. And just a quick note about that particular pad, the 3D car care pads are actually really blowing my mind because I used one single pad to polish this entire vehicle with a final polish, and the pad was barely even heating up, which does speak to the DA, the Rupe's also, but it also speaks to the pad because even there are some foam pads that you put on the Rupe's that start to just fall apart. That 3D car care pad, I used, again, the same one throughout the entire process, and it didn't even begin to fall apart or heat up, which is amazing. And then I finished it with a wax by a company called Biotech. Now, if you guys want to pick up any of the products that I used in this video, I'm going to put Amazon links in the YouTube description box to all of those products. If you purchase anything through those links, it does give this channel a small commission, but it helps this channel stay alive so I can keep giving out awesome content just like this all the time. So that's it. There is my sequence and a few details about what a two-stage paint correction, two-stage compound, and polishing looks like from start to finish. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up button, and if you have any questions, comments, concerns, hook up all that stuff in the YouTube comments below because I do always read those, and I'm sure to get back to you guys as fast as I can. And if you are new to the Wilson Auto Detailing community and you are a pro detailer or just a car enthusiast who wants to improve your detailing ability and business, then definitely consider subscribing. Once again, thank you all so much for being involved here, and as always from Luke here at Wilson Auto Detailing, keep working hard, and I'll see you guys in the next video.